Hey everybody, Mike Steele here, BBQ Champs Academy live, and Happy New Year. 2026 is here, brother. How you guys doing?
It's a good day, Mike.
I'm great.
That's good.
Yes,
That's
sir.
good. Heck yeah, man. I don't know about you guys, but let's see. Today's January the 6th. Short sleeves, 77 degrees today. I've never seen weather like this. This is like, I was telling people the other day, I was like, man, I don't know if we ever going to even have a winter. I mean, usually by now we're starting to get some pretty cool, cold nights and, 50-degree days, 55. But, man, it's been like this for the last 2 weeks. It's just week before last, it was like in the mid-70s. So, I don't know.
It's 70s today, snowing here last Monday. So, I mean.
Yeah, it's just, it's just crazy. But.
I'm not
Anyway,
it's
it's nice. I figured I'd get out and do a little grilling today. I threw some spatchcock chickens on the pellet cooker and was like, man, I got me some grubs. So it was easy. I didn't freeze to death. Anyway, got our first guest for 2026. Man, he wins $155,000. I don't know if he's got to answer the trivia question. I don't know what it'll be. It's going to be something obviously he'll never get with that kind of money. Travis, brother, we appreciate you being here, man. First guest of 2026. And hope to see you out on the comp trail this year. We also got Mr. John in the house. Now, he's up there in that frozen tundra of Wisconsin. It's probably thawed out by now. But anyway, hope you're doing good, John. We got Mr. Bobby Stewart with us. Come on, brother. And we got Mr. Mark with us. This is my kind of winter.
Man,
it's been kind of crazy.
Mark is tearing up that Texas oil dust and BAB charcoal all over Facebook, baby. he is everywhere. For sure.
He got Chat GTT figured out, man.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
He's got that going on. That is for sure. Oh, goodness. Let's see. Boot Hill Barbecue. Good evening, Mother. Appreciate you being with us. We got Mr. Slade with us. I just placed an order with you today, Aaron. Appreciate it. Mr. Allen, appreciate you being here, brother. Happy New Year to you.
Right.
The PK showed up in Wichita, not Shreveport. Man, I'm telling you, look, hey, here's the thing, Al. If it showed up there, just say, look, it must have been that guy down Mike Steele down in South Louisiana or in North Louisiana. We'll get it to him. So this guy has ordered. I'm going to give you somebody now that's just as loyal for us for Barbecue Champs. I think Alan's now bought every single class on Barbecue Champs Academy. The last week of December, he bought like 3 classes. He has bought every single class. I'm talking about every barbecue class, every pitmaster, every steak class. He even bought Ray's, our Kids Q. And Ray cooked some amazing pork chops and steak as well. I mean, that steak was amazing. Yeah. So anyway, Alan, we appreciate you, brother, and thank you for your support and everything you do. I know he's getting into competition cooking. I'm pretty sure it's what it is. He can let me know, but I think he's a KCBS judge, and he wanted to know more about this stuff. But I think I met him last year at the Royal. Super nice guy. He's a pilot. And anyway, glad to have you here, man. Who else we got? Mr. James Dotson's in the house. Good to have you back with us tonight,
Mr.
James. Heck yeah. So, looked like he had a little fun throwing some ribs down. Jeremy, appreciate you being here. Mr. Matt, thank you, sir. Mr. Brandon, appreciate you being here, brother. So, we got a few folks up. Man, we got an unbelievable guest tonight. Multi-world champion as far as I'm concerned. When you start knocking out first place at the American Royal and the Jack Daniel Invitational, that puts you in some pretty high status, man. So we got Mr. Joe Pearce with Slaps Barbecue. And, he is one of the best that is out there, no doubt. So let's see. The hard part is deciding who's the best, both judge and cook. Right. So, hey, he's done judge and he's cooking. So, let's see. I can't read the fine print. What we got here? Is that all right? Thank you. What is that?
Yeah, I'll tell you later. Barbecue.
I'll tell you later. Okay. Too many eyes and L's there for these small eyes. So anyway, but yeah, we got Joe in the house. Got some great things to talk about with him. An unbelievable cook. And then if y'all haven't heard, we'll make a big announcement with some really cool news that Joe got last week. So we're going to make the announcement with that as well if you haven't seen it. So have to stick around for the show. Well, anyway, what you guys got going on for this weekend, Aaron? You gonna go down to the big championship cook-off?
Yeah, boy, I got the little mini horse trailer fired up. She's loaded.
All right.
I'm gonna finish a few little cleaning things this evening and or tomorrow, and Man, I'm loaded up and ready to go either late Thursday evening or Friday morning. I'll be down
Okay.
there. I'm ready to go cook.
Okay.
See if I
Yeah.
remember how to do it.
How many teams do you think they're going to
Right.
have? Have you heard? Have they got a roll call yet?
No, not yet. People are still signing up, because it's online. So people are still signing up, but we should clear 100 easy.
Yeah, I think so. Y'all had like low about
All
120,
right.
130 last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing numbers out. I mean, there's some other contests going this weekend, so it'll be kind of who goes where. But
Right.
since the WBC is going to be their first event for that $1 million
Yeah.
prize money, this will be the first event for the year.
Right.
So a lot of guys
Okay.
are wanting to jump in there for that CBA World Championship.
Okay. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Anyway, good. Good. That's going to be a fun one. I wanted to try to get. Hey, if anybody's on our show tonight viewing, if you're going to the CBA World Championship cook-off down there, drop it in. I'd like to know if you're heading down there. Wish you some luck. But that's going to be a good one. It's going to be a barn burner, that's for sure. You start getting 100 plus teams in Texas, man. You know that's going to be a throwdown. So
It's going to be
Hey, Mike.
a good time.
Mike, did you see where Carl Davis grand champion again?
no,
Cast iron cooker GC'd again this weekend. He's on fire.
That guy's just absolutely on fire. AJ, glad to have you with us, brother. Yeah, he is. He has definitely been absolutely killing it, no doubt. So
All over.
yeah, and no matter where he cooks. There we go, Mr. All right,
Yep.
Travis is going to be down there on Friday. That's good. Good luck down there. Brandon's going to be down there. Good luck, brother. Hope you do well. So
Nice.
anyway, well, I'll tell you what. Let's thank our sponsors for 2026 again. These guys have been with us for as long as Barbecue Champs Academy has been around. Cannot thank David with Gunnar Wilhelm enough. I mean, please keep in your prayers. He is battling stage 4 cancer. He's had a very, very rough year, and he's still going on, man. So please keep him in your prayers. Also, our good friends at B&B Charcoal. Absolutely love their product. Yeah. I got called out last week by Fred Robles. Is like, I've never seen Mike Steele with the hat on. Yeah,
Telling you, baby.
I'm not a hat person. I'm just not much of a hat person. So anyway, but we love the guys at B&B Charcoal. I have been running their stuff since day one. It is absolutely phenomenal. Miss Gail down at Daigle's Barbecue Rubs and Supplies. Appreciate her. And once again, Raider Red Meats. I've told you all 1,000 times, if you're looking for some of this stuff right here, that Prairie Fresh Love, man, that Prairie Fresh stuff is some good stuff. It gets you paid, brother. It will get you paid. And I bet our guests use Prairie Fresh if I had a guess. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna go out on a limb. So anyway, but yeah, Kirsten at Raider Red Meats can hook you up. Now, Kirsten's about to have her second child. She may be on maternity leave now. And I think the lady you will contact is Paige. I could be wrong, but I believe it is Paige. So if you're looking for Prairie Fresh Naturals or Prime, they have them. Tell them Barbecue Champ sent you. Tell them what you're looking for. And then they will source them out and get you kind of the weights and stuff that you're looking for. So be sure to support those guys. It's part of a good deal. And we really appreciate them taking care of our customers. So, well, right. I tell you what, without further ado, let's see if I can click some of these things and get some of these banners out the way. Y'all ain't here for us. Y'all here for this cat right here, Mr. Joe Pearce with Slaps Barbecue. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
What is up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, man. You know, you like the unicorn, man. I mean, we tried. We sent emails out. We sent texts, then I finally hooked you, I guess, when we got your buddy Luke Darnell on. I was like, holy crap. Joe's on here, and then I got you on. I was like, I got to get you on the show. I'll come anytime. Okay, good. We're gonna hold you to it.
I've been a faithful watcher for 2 to 7 minutes of your show for years.
I was thinking he was going to say 2 to 7 years or something.
He watched the opening credits, or he watched the end of the show.
Check in. I like to come in. I like to razz 2 or 3 people, whoever's in there, and then get back out.
That's awesome. At least
hit and run.
At least he was honest. I'm in there for 2 and I'm in and out. So. Oh, God. Yeah, Jeremy, it's about time. That's kind of what I was saying. I said the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Something?
Well, that's not very nice.
I don't have no idea what that is. But I tell you what I am going to do. I'm just going to delete it because it don't look very kind. So
nah.
My channel is better.
Troll there.
Okay, all right. How about we just block that son of a gun and we won't have to worry about him no more?
Yeah, I bring the best and the worst out.
Yeah,
Right,
you
right
do.
off the
So,
front. Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, what a
Who put that one up
The
there,
Russians are
huh?
showing up again. The Russians are showing up.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. They're trying to hack us. So, I mean, that's what happens when you got Barbecue Champs Academy, man. We're a worldwide company. We sell classes everywhere. So that's what they're doing, man. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Well, anyway, Joe, man, we're glad to have you on. I know you made a little cameo spot just to tease everybody when we had Luke on here a couple weeks ago, but we're glad to have you on, man. Look, you're one of the elites. You're one of the OGs that I remember seeing on Barbecue Pitmaster, and love the name. I know what that stands for, but there may be a lot of people, and I think it is absolutely great. But what does SLAPS stand for, brother?
Yeah, so when we first started thinking about competition barbecue, there's a text thread out there that I'm pretty sure would get me fired from my job and banned from the United States of America if it ever released out there of the potential barbecue team names that we thought of. Some of them were highly inappropriate, and my wife would be mad. Let's just put it that way.
I got you.
Right. And but no, we kind of landed on we thought a good catchy name was Squeal Like a Pig, SLAPS, Squeal Like a Pig Slaps. And we didn't really put that acronym together for probably 6 or 7 months, and so we were Squeal Like a Pig Barbecue, and then all of a sudden one day I said something like, "Hey, that slaps," or and I was like, "Oh, SLAP slaps barbecue, Squeal Like a Pig, that works." And
that's cool.
And so we started calling ourselves, Slaps Barbecue, and just kind of between my brother and I, and anyway, we went and did Pitmasters, the Squeal Like a Pig, and we that whole experience of being on the show and finishing second kind of skyrocketed the idea that maybe we should do something more than just competition barbecue. And we were sitting in a Tampa airport, and with the instruction from our good buddy Mike Johnson from Sugar Fire Smokehouse, he said, "Listen, you guys don't understand how big this is going to be. You're going to be in 1 million homes. You got this opportunity." He's like, "You should do something as a restaurant or a food truck." And so we were putting it all together, and we're Italian, and both of us are always right all the time. Neither one of us have ever been wrong a day in our life, and especially against each other. And so we just lost the finale of Pitmasters Darabi Royal.
Yeah.
And we were in the Tampa airport eating breakfast at a Chili's because that was the only place open at 6:30 in the morning. And we were politely communicating as two brothers would at what we should be called slap barbecue,
right,
or slaps barbecue. So finally this lady came over, and she was polite enough, but she goes like, "Hey, I'm in marketing, couldn't help overhear the conversation. The whole airport couldn't help but overhear the conversation." And she was like, "Hey, I'm in marketing, would you like my opinion?" And we said, "Yeah." And so she slammed her hand down on the table and goes, "Slaps," and she walks away as like an angry mother would. You
right,
know what I mean?
right.
Like, shut up, shut your mouth. This is it. Move on.
This is it.
And so we called ourselves Slaps, and good thing we did, because when we opened the restaurant, every one of those letters we put on the front of the building was like $100. And so if we were going to put "Squeal Like a Pig" on the front of the building, we would have gone broke.
That made it real quick.
$500 later, we were like, okay, I'm glad we didn't do the 30-letter
right.
"Squeal Like a Pig Barbecue." And but yeah, so that was kind of listen, it caught pretty quick when we switched from "Squeal Like a Pig" to Slaps, and it was an easy name for everybody to remember. And I think because of like Harry Sue, everybody knew, "Slap Your Mama" and or "Slap Your Daddy," and so we got that thrown out there a lot, and for Kansas City, man, it's such a catchy one word name. This new restaurant, Slaps, and so it kind of took off and was way bigger than we ever thought it was going to be, and and got some really good press and some publicity. And
Yeah.
here we are today at Slaps Barbecue, pretty
That's
well known in the barbecue world. So
that's a really cool
You
story.
bet.
That really is. So yeah, I
Now, how did you get selected for Pitmaster?
was
Did you
fixing
have
to,
to
I'm
you
fixing to
fought
ask that.
somewhere?
yeah, no, that's it's all part of the story, right? And so my brother and I were working corporate America, and we had cooked a few barbecue contests, and there was a barbecue contest in Lee Summit, Missouri, which happened to be my hometown contest. And so it was, we were setting up, we were going to cook, and we were still using the team name Squeal Like a Pig Barbecue. And Barbecue Pitmasters happened to be filming at Lee Summit, Missouri, at Smoking on the Summit. And it was Rod Gray, Robbie Royal, and it might have been Jamie Greer, something like that. It was like, I know it was Rod and Robbie, but the third one I couldn't remember. But anyway, so there's production cues running around everywhere, and one of them kind of stopped, and he said, "Squeal like a pig." That's hilarious. And we said, "Oh, thanks." And everybody thinks it's from the movie Deliverance.
Right. Yeah.
It
Right.
honestly didn't even pop in our head. It was, like I said earlier, it was the least offensive barbecue team name we came up with. And so there you go, like, yeah, it's funny. And the guy from the production team goes like, "Are you smoking a whole pig?" And I said, "No, but if it means being on TV, I'll be more than happy to do that for you." And I grew up in sales, you know what I mean?
Right.
I know what to say, right? And
Right.
so don't say no. And so he goes like, "Man, that'd be awesome, do it." And so I called my brother, who wasn't at the contest yet. He was still working. I said, "Hey, go down to the local butcher shop." And the place we always use as kids was a place called Bicklemeyer's in Kansas City,
Oh
Kansas.
yeah, that's a great place.
Great spot. And
Yeah.
And we've known those guys for a long time. I said, "Go get the smallest hog you can find." Anyway, so long story short, Freddie, it is TV, Joe. Be careful. And long story short, we go to get this hog, and the guys come back. My brother didn't have it there yet. He was still getting off work and going to get it. And the guy came back and was like, "Hey man, I really appreciate you putting in the time and effort to try to go get the hog and do this, but we're not gonna have time. Don't waste your time or money on it." And I said, "Hey, I get it." And anyway, he gave me his card. His name was Brian Casting, and which I thought it was an ironic last name, because most of those shows make you go through castings to get into it. And so anyway, I kept his card in my wallet, didn't think much of it. And, he told me, he goes like, "Hey, make sure, you get your, when the next time Barbecue Pitmasters comes around, I'll make sure you get your due diligence." And I said, "Okay, cool." And so, 6 months goes by and I don't think of it. And it's the 1st of December, and I get this phone call from a New York number. And he goes like, "Hey, Joe, what's up?" And I'm like, "Okay, hey, who is this?" And he goes like, "It's Brian." I was like, "Okay, Brian, what can I help you with today?" He's like, "Hey, Brian from Pitmasters." And I was like, "Oh," and it clicked. I was like, "Oh, Brian, what's going on, man?" He was like, "Hey, where's your audition tape?" And I said, "I don't have any idea what you're talking about." Audition tape. And he goes, "I need your audition tape to make sure I can get you up in front of the guys at Pitmasters." And I said, "The production team." And I said, "Okay." I said, "When do you need it?" He was like, "It ends today." I was
Oh
like,
gosh.
"Okay." And he was like, "But listen, if you get it to me in like the next 24 hours, I'll make sure you get in front of the right people." And I said, "Okay." And so I had just stopped working at a church. I was the technical creative arts director. So I had access to cameras, lights, media.
Everything.
I had the software, I had the audio, I had everything I needed. And I had some buddies who had free time. And I said, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And so we started kind of storyboarding what we wanted to do. And, they want a 30-second to a minute and a half video on why you're good at barbecue. I gave them a 7-minute dissertation on the history of Kansas City barbecue, and had like 3 or 4 sets, went to different places, had backgrounds, did interviews. From the church aspect, I played like, really emotional music that tugged on their heartstrings, talked about
I love it.
how my dad and I grew up, my brother and my dad and I grew up cooking barbecue, and just manipulated the hell out of them. And anyway, so I sent this video in, and I sent it at like, it was like a Saturday afternoon. at like 3:00 in the afternoon. I got a call at like 8:00 in the morning on Sunday, and it was Brian. He goes like, "That was the greatest audition tape we've ever seen. You have to be on the show." And so that was that. And that video is still out on our Facebook, and I think we have a YouTube channel somewhere, but it's
That's
out
hilarious.
there. And it's pretty good, and it kind of goes through, why we're good at barbecue, why Kansas City's cool about barbecue, and everything in between. But that was kind of the door that opened, and then we were on Pitmasters, and I was lucky enough, we were working at a default servicing company for banks, so we were selling like short sales, deed in lieu, foreclosure, stuff like that. And so right at that time, the government put a kind of lockdown on how we were handling that stuff, and so I went from having 8 hours a day of being on a phone and sending emails to like I could do my whole entire job in about 35 minutes in the morning. And I spent the rest of the 7.5 hours like researching, genetics of breeding hogs and cows and slaughtering and just everything you could possibly think of barbecue. Started doing some butchering classes in Kansas City, and it was fun because like the first thing in Pitmasters, they have those coolers there and they open it up, and usually it's a big hunk of meat. Nobody really knows what it is. And so we're sitting there and they open the cooler, and Mike Johnson and I look at each other and we're like, yeah, that's a beef 107A. And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's from the rib primal. I was like, it's bones like 3 through 7, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole bone in prime rib roast. And the producers looked at Mike Johnson and I were like, you guys are nuts. And so it's funny because I had never cooked a prime rib before that day, and but I knew what it was and where it came from, and
that's pretty cool. Wow.
So it's fun story, man. It was good.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff, man. We don't know, and it's part of our barbecue history, right? I think probably everybody on here. I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why I even got into competition barbecue. I had a big career in drag racing. I got out of racing, and, I was so competitive. I set a couple of world records. We had a stupid, amazing fast car, and I was just competitive, right? I mean, good Lord, it's just... And then I'm driving Suzette, just my wife, crazy. Like, you got to find something to do. Like, you're just driving me nuts. I mean, I know you like to go out and 200 miles an hour with your balls on fire and blah, blah, blah. But, you got to find something. And she said, why don't you barbecue? We've been watching these barbecue pitmasters, right? And I think that's probably... we watched a lot, and I was like, well, maybe we need to look into that. And we checked into it. Next thing you know, I'm cooking. So that's great. And I don't know. I mean, we probably all watched it, and I'm sure a lot of people on here did. But now it's kind of neat to see, the behind the scenes. And I was lucky enough to get on Barbecue USA a couple years ago. And you're right. You have to make the quirky little, I did a 1.5, 2-minute little video and fun and blah, blah, blah. But it's neat to hear what you had to go through to do it, and it was really a good show. So
Joe, who were your judges? Was it like Mo Cason, Tuffy, and Myron, or who'd you have?
It was those three. It was Mo, Tuffy, and Myron, and of course, obviously you knew who Mo Cason was, but Tuffy and Myron in the barbecue world were kind of the top echelon of barbecue cooks. Myron always wore his championship rings, and he wasn't afraid to show them off. And on camera he's a tough guy, but off camera he's a bit of a softie, and gave me some of the best advice in barbecue that I've ever received. And Tuffy was the same way. I was more nervous about Tuffy eating our food than I was anybody else, because he's a classically changed French chef and knows the ins and outs of just not just culinary cooking, but barbecue. And so it was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna feed Tuffy Stone, and he's gonna critique my food. And so I still still do today things they told me to do on Barbecue Pitmasters. You know what I mean? Like, and when we were on our way to film, we had to travel down to Tampa to film that, and we took a Dodge 3500 truck. We had like a 18-foot enclosed trailer, and then we pulled a smoker behind that. And so like all in, we were like 50 foot, and it was probably the most dangerous, setup in the history of trailering. But we stopped at Memphis Barbecue Company, Melissa's restaurant, on the way down, and we thought, hey, we might have a chance to see her. You could ask her some questions. Plus, we needed a place to stop for the night, and so we get there, and I see her like flash through the kitchen, and I don't know if you guys, I'm a pretty outgoing guy, and I'm not afraid to step in somewhere. And so I start like chasing her around the restaurant, like trying to, and then I lose her. I couldn't find her. I was like, gosh, and I'm looking at, the Memphis and May trophies and all this stuff. And all of a sudden I kind of give up, and I go, I guess she's in the kitchen. I can't find her. And I start walking back to the table. Well, she's already sitting at the table talking to my brother and
Oh,
the
wow.
we were with. And I was like, well, aren't I an idiot? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's
I just
crazy.
would have been a little patient. And, she probably gave me the best advice. My brother gave us the best advice for pitmasters. She goes, Myron does not like spicy food at all. Like, if you're thinking about making a rib spicy or chicken spicy, you should do not do it. Like sweet, 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 sweet. Obviously be savory and be balanced, but do not be spicy. And so I said, oh, that's really, really good to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you try to set yourself apart. One way to do is a little bit of spice sometimes. And
Right.
And she said, just try to nail tenderness and then fix flavor at the end if you think it needs something. And my palate back then was non-existent. I had no idea what I was trying to do. I just knew if something tasted good or bad or not. And so we're sitting there. I think we did prime rib. We did bone-in prime rib, and I think it was chicken. I think we did chicken thighs that first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Or we got whole chicken, so we could have done whatever we wanted. I have a funny story about the whole chickens, but I just remember it was me on the end, Mike Johnson in the middle, and Richard Pergola and Jeremy down on the other end. And I just remember Richard talking about how good and hot and spicy he was going to make that chicken. I was just sitting there thinking and Mike Johnson too. He was like, yeah, we're going to do this like Cajun, smoked, spicy, special peppers, being a little chefy at it. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm going to use the blandest, safest rub out there, and sauce the hell out of the chicken. And it's funny, the judges interact with you while you're prepping. And this is how little I knew about food at the time. Tuffy was sitting there and he was like, man, that's really interesting how you're doing that chicken. I was spatchcocking it. And he goes, and I didn't know that word was associated with any type of food process, right? And he was like, what, are you spatchcocking that out? And I go, no, Tuffy, what I'm doing is I'm cutting along the spine and then I'm going to lay it out flat. And so I explained to him what spatchcocking was without knowing what that term was. And he just looked at me like, you're an idiot. And after the fact, I realized, I clicked like later that day off camera that I was like, oh, he meant spatchcocking is what that is. Like, and it clicked for me, right? And
right.
And so I went up to him afterwards, like, hey, I know what spatchcocking is, right? Like, and if he just and
that's a good recovery.
It was funny.
Right. And that is hilarious.
So it was, that trip down there was memorable, just getting to Tampa and you didn't know who we were on the show with, and we all had to meet at a hotel, and then found out it was like, a whole Kansas City episode. You know what I mean? And,
right.
And then I was like, oh, they have a guy from Gardner, Kansas. Well, that's kind of Kansas City, but not. And then I was like, then they got a guy from St. Louis. I said, oh, all I have to do is show up and I probably win this thing. And that was me being cocky. I got super, super lucky and figured out, that good foods wins barbecue contests and shows like that. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It was
that's
experience
an interesting story,
near and dear to my heart for the rest of my life, and it changed the trajectory of what my life was on pace for.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to do stuff like this now, which is a blast.
Man, that is absolutely a cool. That's probably one of the coolest stories that we've probably had on Barbecue Champs.
Well,
I'd say it's probably top 10 for sure. So, and obviously, and you was very smart. You took the limelight, like Mike had told you, and make something out of it. I mean, that's what you've got to do, and seize on the opportunity. That's what I always say. And
I didn't know how much I enjoyed that aspect of like production, you know what I mean? And so I've always I've been on stage. I was in theater in high school, and then when I was working at the church, I did the audio and video, but I also played guitar and sang, and led bands and did all that kind of stuff. And when the camera lights hit me for the first time, this switch flipped, and I was like, I'm going to make sure they remember who I am. And the first words out of my mouth were like something that didn't make sense. It was from a Tech Nine song, who's a local Kansas City rapper. And I said, we came to kick it like a donkey because we're famous. And they were all like, I don't know what that means, but that's hilarious. And then we started saying, we were born, bred, and barbecue fed in Kansas City. And it just like kept like, oh, this young gun cocky kid came out to play. And and then it kind of turned into, that was the persona that I had. And I still get people coming up to me today. They're like, like, man, you're awful proud of what you do. And, like, you're a little cocky. And yes, there's no doubt that I'm proud of the accomplishments that I've had in barbecue. But at the same time, I am the guy that will, bend over and give the shirt off my back if you need help with something. And,
that's really
cool. Joe, is it true if you quit barbecue that you may go on the PGA tour and start golfing professionally?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. But no, before pre-barbecue, I played a competitive golf in high school and college, and so when the restaurant opened, I stopped playing golf for 8.5 years, 9 years, and then all of a sudden I picked it up during COVID again, and I still got it. Yeah, still pretty good.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So let's swing over. You took that, you ran. That was pretty early in your barbecue career. You hadn't been cooking very long because Pitmasters came out in 2012, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 11, 12 and 13, I think, 14. It had about a 4 or 5 year run. So you was kind of early in your career. But, man, let's talk a little bit about your barbecue. I mean, obviously you've won world champions at American Royal, I think, in chicken and ribs. You've had a world champion in a meat at the Jack Daniel Invitation. I think you won pork or something at the Jack.
Won chicken and brisket at the Jack. Yeah.
Chicken and brisket at the Jack. Yeah. Okay, wow, man, that's amazing. So, I mean, flavor profile. You kind of cook everywhere as well. I mean, I know you do a lot around Kansas City, but obviously you took off. You went to Tennessee. You did well.
Sure.
Do you kind of run your same stuff everywhere you go, or have you kind of seen with regions you tweak it a little bit?
Yeah, listen, I know there's guys that out there that say they don't change anything anywhere they go. That didn't work for me. You know what I mean? I took every bit of knowledge that I could find. If I was cooking in Texas, calling Lee and Aaron, being like, "Hey, what scores down there?" You know what I mean? Like, what's going on and what works, what doesn't work. And so I tried to gain, as much knowledge as I possibly can. And that's probably why, like, my brother and I are good at what we do. Like, we dive way too deep into whatever topic we are working into and become, experts in it as quick as we possibly can. And so, with barbecue, especially with traveling, yes, there's no point in changing up your entire regime to try to win a contest if you're going to Texas or to Wisconsin or somewhere like that. But you have to you think about it, right? You have to think like for Wisconsin, going up north, for example, they just don't have as many barbecue contests as the rest of the country does. So those judges don't judge as many times as a judge would in Kansas City or in Texas or the South anywhere. And so those judges were taught, if they took the KCBS class, that, brisket should have a very specific pull. Ribs you should bite into them and the bone should dry and not pull completely off. And so I think when you go to those places that don't have as many barbecue contests, you have to be a little more technical with how you cook, meaning you have to be kind of more dialed into exactly what
they were trained for.
The rules say that you should accomplish for chicken and ribs and pork and brisket. And I think if you have that understanding where you're going, I think you can end up scoring. And I barbecue, I think Darren says it, give me salt and ketchup and I'll beat you in tenderness every day of the week, right? Like something on those lines. And so I think, at the end of the game, barbecue is a tenderness game, right? And you can fix flavor on the cutting board. And that's what I tell people when I teach classes. And I say, if you're not going to pay attention to anything, pay attention to the last 10 minutes before every turn in, because that's when I win or lose a barbecue contest. And I see Freddie talking about the brisket at the Jack. Freddie is the reason I won brisket at the Jack. He was down there hanging around. I want to say with the Texas guys, but I don't remember who was there. It might have been Manuel or Chicken Fried or somebody like that. But he was kind of just wandering around. He was in my trailer during brisket, and I had a hammer, a absolute. To this day, I haven't seen as good of a brisket as I had at the Jack that year. And I sliced into it and took a bite, and I go, I don't think it needs any. Like, that's how good it was. And usually the brisket gets docked, and doctored quite a bit. And I gave a slice to Freddie or bite to Freddie, and he was like, yeah, don't screw that up by doing anything to it. Just get it in the box with a little au jus and go from there. And so I did. And we got shut out in chicken. We got shut out in ribs. We got shut out in pork. And I start looking around like, man, I had great food. And the year before, we RGC'd. Yeah. So I knew our food down there scored. And we're sitting there, and I looked at Freddie, and he kind of gave me that look like, hold on, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's coming.
Look.
It gets to top 5, and he kind of looks over, and I'm looking at Freddie like, just getting madder and madder. And he looks at me, he's like, oh, it's all right, it's coming. Gets to second, and I'm like, at this point, I'm like, this is it. It's done. No, I'm not. There's no chance. And he's like, hold on. And he looks at me right before they call brisket. He kind of gives me that, hey, you should stand up. And sure as shit, they called slap barbecue for first.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Of course, we run over, give each other a big hug, but yeah, I mean, if there's one person that I would ever want to cook me a brisket, it's old Fred Robles. So.
Yeah, that guy's got it going on. He wants to hear you sing. He says he thinks you probably got a very angelic voice. So.
Yeah, 100%. You guys, I listen. I don't know if you guys got my rider or not for the payment that it cost me to be here, but you're not paying me enough.
I love it. Wow. So, I mean, that's pretty neat, though. I mean, and you did. I hope everybody caught. You really gave a really good point of, hey, how many competitions do they have up there? Very few. They're going to be very technical. They're going to probably stick to more what they were trained. And if you have one that they're judging a lot, well, there could probably be a little bit looser and stuff like that. So, and that's the kind of good stuff to know. What do you normally run for a flavor profile on? I mean, look, I just want to ribs. I mean, that's probably, I would think, probably one of your strongest categories. I've seen pictures when you was on Barbecue USA. I saw pictures of some of your stuff. I mean, you just cook an absolutely beautiful rib. Thank you. I mean, a gorgeous rib, beautiful color. I mean, do you kind of stay on a sweeter side rib, or are you kind of a savory sweet with a little heat?
Yeah, I mean, of course, what's the answer in barbecue? Sweet with a little bit of heat, right? But when we created the perfect blend, our rub, it was really meant for ribs. Like it was. And honestly, like ribs and brisket is like what I used it on first. And brisket, I was mixing it with some kosher salt just to add a little more savoriness to it. But really, I wanted to create a rib rub. And man, I remember the first time using it, the color that came off of the cooker and that rib, and just in the meat in general, I was like, okay, there's something here, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, you have to start with a big heavy rib, right? And so we've been using, you said it in the intro, we've been using Prairie Fresh at the restaurant since we opened. And we've been a Prairie Fresh brand ambassador, I think, for 7 or 8 years now. And so, I am lucky enough at the restaurant to get to look through hundreds of ribs for a barbecue contest, which is an advantage. There's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? Brad and I talk about that all the time. That, the advantage that we have looking through ribs, and I'm sure Aaron, you get that same advantage too, looking through that stuff. It's just, you get to take the top 1% of the stuff that comes into the restaurant to a barbecue contest. And so I'm showing up with a really thick, really well marbled rib. Okay. And my whole goal is not to screw it up.
Right, right.
Don't ruin it. And so what I teach people is everything I do gives me a window of air, right? Like the reason I inject, the reason I rub the way I do, the reason why I set it out like I do, the reason I run the pit the way I do, the reason I do, it gives me a window of screwing something up, all right? It gives me the least opportunity to make a giant error mistake. And so, we from how we inject the ribs and rub the ribs, and then we set them out. We keep the temperature in the trailer the same. We cook at the same temperature on the smoker. We put them in the same spot on the smoker. We wrap with the same ingredients every single time. I'm not changing brown sugar. I'm not, switching butter. Like everything is done the exact same way. So I know that there's a window that I can hopefully get these done in. And I think ribs is just like you can, like any meat really you can add flavor at the end, or it's hard to take flavor away. You know what I mean? But you can always lean on the side of a little lighter rub, a little lighter finish. And so if you have to add some pop, you can do it. But for me, ribs is the category I like to eat the most. You know what I mean? I think slaps is kind of have a reputation definitely in the restaurant world in Kansas City of having some of the best ribs, and it's because we kind of comp style cook them a little bit with the brown sugar and the foil and the wrap and everything in between. But I think trying to get the rib to the tenderness that the judge wants, right, and then being as this is a Rod Gray quote, being as least offensive as possible. We want to be as middle of the road. And that sounds weird in competition barbecue because there is nothing in competition barbecue that's not flavorful. But to the outsiders, anybody who's never been in competition before, they take a bite of the rib, they're like, that's the best thing I've ever had. And they say the same thing about chicken, pork, and ribs. But to a judge who has 6 of them on a tray that all taste pretty identical, you want the score the best that's not going to offend them, right? And so what I tell people all the time is I want a judge to give me an instant 9, right? I want them to say, yep, that's exactly what I'm looking for, and then not have to think about it for another second. And so if it's too spicy, if it's too sweet, if it has too much chew to it, has too much juice to it, like whatever it is, if they have to start processing whether, okay, is that a 9, is that an 8, is that a 7, I've lost the contest, right? And so when a judge picks up a rib and they bite into it, I'm really soft, right? I'm really soft bone, really soft rib. And so I want them to get a really juicy, savory, sweet bite of ribs that doesn't offend them, that doesn't take a lot to chew, and they can literally say, yep, that's exactly what I want in a rib, and then move on, right? So that's my goal. I'll tell you, I use 2 rubs. I use Slaps Barbecue Perfect Blend and 0 to Hero. Those are the two rubs that I used on pork.
Very heavy, by the way. Heavy. Don't. He knows somebody who can get it pretty cheap. He uses it heavily. Now, I'm not going to give away any of your secrets. I did take Joe's class, and I tell you, that's one of the great classes ever taken. And one thing I learned, and I've never thought about this cooking in Texas, I always cook 3 racks of ribs, and I just take the best ones that fit right. They look good. But Joe made a very good point during the class. Man, pay him $50 for this pro tip here. He takes a bite off of each rack. And I'll be damned. And I said, why? He goes, well, because every rack tastes different. I didn't believe that, because you're cooking the same recipe, same injection, same everything, until I came home from Texas after taking Joe's class. I cooked 4 racks, and I took a bite of one rack, a bite of a second rack, the third rack, and they all had a different flavor profile. Every single one of them, even the doneness, the texture, were different in all the racks of ribs. And I never really thought about that prior to that until taking your class. So thank you for doing that. So now I do take a bite of every bone off of each rack, because I was surprised how different the flavors can be. So
crazy.
Listen, I have 2 ribs on each rack that I could take a bite of, right? And if I'm unsure, I take a full slab and I trim it down to 8 bones. I taste bones 2 and I taste bones 7, so I can put bones 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the box, right? And so hopefully I have 2 slabs to put 4 bones from each slab in that taste roughly the same. But when you cook so many barbecue contests, you become a little taste numb, right? Like everything becomes a little, and so for me, doing the same thing every time, making sure that I know my flavor is going to be roughly the same way, But like if I cook, you don't know the circumstances where that pig came from or where that cow came from. I mean, we can get really deep into, the humane slaughtering of animals and what happens when they're stressed right before they die. And 100% it does. And I think if you really want to get into it, go look up a gal named Temple Grandin, and she completely revitalized the way slaughterhouses happen and meat production happened. And she was autistic, and she could see a way the pigs move and the cows move and all this stuff, and created a way that would not stress the animal out right up until processing. And it completely changed the meat industry. And she was at, I believe it was Colorado State University, and she was the first woman on some of these feedlots and in these slaughterhouses. And anyway, great movie out there. There's she's written a bunch of books, and
David's been on. He's been on our podcast, and he told us all that process, how he comes in, puts them in a room, lets them calm down. Keep on. Go back and watch that one.
It's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's crazy what it does, right? Like you said it a second ago, Mike, the pH level. Like when you're stressed and when you're excited, what happens? Your heart pumps, right? And so you got a lot of blood moving through your body. You get some acidity built up, and that pH level starts to increase in the blood, and that creates a kind of a tight, stiff muscle. And the same thing happens with animals. So if you have no idea what that pig went through, or that hog or that cow went through right before it was slaughtered. I mean, we've all tasted brisket. That one brisket is perfectly soft and great, and then the very next one you eat is kind of that soft but like brittle texture. You know what I mean? And that all has to do with how that animal is processed. And so again, it's about giving myself a window, right? Like if I cook, like I stopped cooking. I always say I cook 4 slabs of ribs. I almost always cook 5 slabs of ribs now, because there was one contest one time that I didn't like any of the ribs, and I was like, well, I have the space, might as well cook one more,
Right.
And but yeah, it's about being as consistent as you possibly can in competition barbecue, not offending anybody, and giving yourself the best chance to succeed by showing up with the best product you can possibly find, and make sure you can do the exact same thing every time.
Yeah, that's anybody knows me. That's one thing I do. I'm ultra consistent. I do everything the same every time. Lee will vouch for that, and I just think that's just so you don't mess up. Now, you was talking about you like a heavy rib and Prairie Fresh. What's a heavy rib for you? Is that a 3.8 to 4.0? Is that a 4.0 to 4.2? I mean, where do you like to be at?
Yeah, it's really the spec that we helped create at Prairie Fresh is called a 3.5 and down, right? Meaning we're not going to have any ribs less than 3.5 pounds. So it's 3.5, and the technical term would be to say is a 3.5
and down,
right?
Okay, 3.5 and up. Okay.
But the way they said is a 3.5 and down, meaning you're not going to have anything smaller than a 3.5. And then there's 3.25 to 3.5. There's 3 to 3.25. There's 2.75 to 3. And so the 3.5 and downs are just everything bigger than 3.5 pounds. And so we helped Prairie Fresh kind of coin that market and say, hey, this is what we want. And they're like, nobody's going to pay that much for ribs. And I said, I don't care. It's not for the restaurant. It's for competition. Like I'm being selfish here. And also helps when you're buying a couple $1 million worth of pork from somebody in a year to get some of that stuff done. And so we said, hey, we want the absolute heaviest ribs possible. And I used to be really particular about where they came from. I used to want them just from St. Joe, Missouri, from that production facility, and then it switched. I only want them coming out of Guyman, Oklahoma, and then I only want to come from like Sioux Falls. And then I realized it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Yeah. As long as they're big and marbled, I don't really care. Yeah. And
so have you ever got ribs that are in the 4-pound range, or are they all around that 3?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you like a big, thick rib now.
I'll take the biggest, thickest ones I can find, man. Yeah. And I don't think there is a rib that's too thick. In fact, I would love if Prairie Fresh, and I've asked them to do this, to sell belly on ribs, so I could trim them to the level of meat that I want on them, right?
Yeah.
And they'll do it. They just don't mass produce it, right? And so, if I think I've gotten them like twice, and it was like 4 slabs total. But yeah, in a perfect world, the plant does matter, right? Based on if that plant produces bacon the same day you get your ribs, right? Or if the plant might not even do bellies at all, right?
Right.
And so at the time, like I think the Sioux City or Sioux Falls, I can't remember exactly where that plant is for Prairie Fresh, was the only one doing bacon, right? So the ones coming out of Guyman to come in out of St. Joe had a lot more meat on them because they weren't processing bacon every single day. So when you start getting that information, you can start making decisions on kind of, oh man, that does matter. You know what I mean? Like picking out, because we've all seen ribs that have been scalped all the way to the bone, and they got shiners across 6-7 bones of them, and you're like, I wonder how that happens. And I was like, well, it happens because they were trying to get as much belly as they possibly can, because unfortunately bacon is one of the
biggest,
most popular selling retail products in the world.
That's it. Well, I know this. You do have some great rubs, and the color is amazing. So I will. People know I am not scared to change a flavor profile. I think sometimes I said it before. I think some of the food that we cook in Texas sometimes can be a little bit overpowering. And when I went to the Jack, I changed every single thing I did, and I did very well. First time I ever cooked there. And one of the things that I did is I used your rub. I ordered some of your perfect blend.
All right.
And we won't talk about what happened at the Jack. It probably cost me a very, very good. I finished 9th overall. I had like an 11th. Had 11th pork. I had a 15th chicken. I had an 18th brisket, and I had like a 38th rib. And I've said it on the show before. I've got a rotisserie, so you have to nail. And I don't cook KCBS. That's the only time I've ever cooked the KCBS was at the American Royal. So here we are, another KCBS. I was like, man, I'm gonna take one of these little micro probes. I put one of the little micro probes and wrapped the end of it up with just a piece of paper towel so it wouldn't overheat it. And I would plug it in about when I thought. And I was like, oh man, this is 209. And I took that little micro probe and I was like, oh my God, it feels great. These ribs are awesome. Threw them in there. 30 minutes later, pulled them out of the Cambro. I stuck the deadgum thing, went to cut it, and it was like freaking like cutting a football. And I was like, what the crap? And I was just like, I just knew like what these things were 209. They were so tender, 209, 210. And I couldn't figure it out, you know. And I mean, and I was on the freaking angel table. The second and the third place rib was on freaking, and all I had to do is just have a rib that was tender. And I needed like 7 points, and I would have GC'd it. I had like a 172, and they were getting 179s. And I'm like, man, I couldn't figure it out. And I used your stuff, and I said,
it wasn't your fault.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault. And I was like, I went to the American Royal 3 weeks later. And I'm at the Royal, and I had the same little setup, and I had 209. I plugged it in, I pulled it out, and this time, and I had never done this before, and Aaron told me you changed something. I always probe my ribs with the Thermopin. Well, I had that little micro pen in my hand, and I just poked it. Man, it felt so good. I was like, wait a minute, let me grab my Thermopin. And I grabbed my Thermopin, and it felt like I was sticking a football. And I was like, you got to be. And it was 209. I took that deadgum Thermopin, that stinking needle probe. I threw it in the garbage. 25 more minutes, those ribs relaxed. They were still 209, 210.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, your rubs were so good. This is a picture of my box. That was the ribs. I finished 7th overall in the invitation. I think I had a 179 and some change score, but your rubs were absolutely amazing. And that was day 1. And day 2, I had a 20th place out of day 2 in the Open. Yeah. And I will tell you, that was the first time I'd ever used your rub. But I got up there and I was like, okay, this guy is an amazing cook on ribs. And I knew you had done good at the Jack. And I wanted to run your product. I'd never run it before. And I just kind of paired it with another rub that wasn't offensive. Then I put your rub on it. I put a little salt, pepper, garlic. And that was it. And I think I used some of your sauce blended with something else. And I was like, man, that was the first time that I'd ever cooked a rib meat down in forever. And I cooked both of those at the Jack in there with the ribs meat down. And I mean, they turned out absolutely gorgeous. And the flavor, your rub is a very, very, very good rub, Joe. So,
Thank you.
And the color that it produces is amazing. Well, I want to say one other thing real quick before we run out of time. Look, great cooks always come to the top. You are obviously an amazing cook. You've won a lot of world champions in individual meets. And congratulations to you. But those that have stuck around to see it, Joe was inducted into the KCBS Hall of Fame a couple of weeks ago. So, dude, man, congratulations to that, man. I cannot imagine how you felt, and we want to hear about it. What was your reaction? What was your thoughts when they had called you or announced or you found out that you was made the KCBS Hall of Fame?
Yeah, man, it's an honor. You know what I mean? I have always wanted to, whatever I was doing, to do it to the best of my ability, right? Like that's whether it's the mowing the yards when my brother and I had our lawn mowing business when we were 9 and 10, you know what I mean? Or was it like my dad taught me to make those lines as perfectly straight as we possibly could, you know what I mean? So everything we've always done, we've done with purpose. And I think, you know, from the experience of barbecue pitmasters and then getting out in the competition world and, you know, starting to be successful and winning some contests and then consistently winning contests and consistently being kind of in the top 10 and out there in the competition world, like something clicked for me. Like, you know, not everybody has the success. And I don't know if it's because I found the perfect ratio and recipe, or if it's just because of the amount of time, effort, energy that I've put in up to the barbecue contest to be able to recreate week in and week out. And so, you know, something clicked for me. I think kind of around that 2000 or 2018, 19, 20 mark, where I was like, all right, so I'm having a lot of success. I can take a step back and calm down and be grateful of what I did, or I could put the hammer down and see what happens here. And I chose to put the hammer down, and I, you know, there was 3 years there that I finished second team of the year and chased, you know, arguably the greatest barbecue cook of all time, and Brad Leiniger, and then Urkel with Uncle Pigs got me that third year, and another great barbecue cook, and it kind of, you know, gave me the idea that, you know, I have the chance potentially to say, you know, I'm one of the best to ever do something, and not everybody gets that opportunity, and so to have that drive to be able to say, hey man, you know, if you look at how many wins I have and how many RGCs I have, and how many categories we won, and the statistics are there that we've had some success, but I didn't get a first place team of the year, and I haven't won the Royal, and I finished third, and I've RGC'd the Jack, and have some category wins, but that big major kind of has eluded me. And so there's a part of me that says, you know, that was like, oh man, you know, do I deserve to be there? Do I deserve the chance? And then I start looking at the big picture of what I've been able to accomplish in the, you know, 12, 13, 14 years that I've been cooking competition barbecue, and the statistics are there. Right. And so it is an incredible honor, and it shows the amount of hard work and effort that I have put in. But more importantly, man, my family has put in, like, because I have a 6-year-old little girl that I didn't know for the first 4 years of her life, because I was on the road from March until October. And I say that jokingly, obviously. I knew who my daughter was. I didn't abandon my family, but, you know, my wife being willing to stay at home and take care of a kid, and my brother being willing to stay at the restaurant and hold the fort down while I was going out 30 or 40 times a year to cook barbecue. And it all ties together, right? The restaurant, the competition, like, it all supports each other, and it all commingles. And but it's a burden on everybody. And when you're cooking that many contests, it's every night of the week you have to do something to get ready for the next week. And so I would cook contest Friday, Saturday, Sunday I would be at the store. Monday I would get the trailer restocked. Tuesday I would select chicken and ribs, pork, and brisket. Wednesday I would trim as much as I possibly could, hopefully everything. Thursday I'd pack the trailer. Thursday night I'd be on the road. Friday I'd be back at a barbecue contest. You know what I mean? So it was just this cycle for, you know, 12 years of cooking on the road like that. And it was a grind. And man, I didn't realize how stressed it was chasing team of the year, and how much anxiety I was having. Not that I was nervous, but it was like, you have to perform, right? You know, you have to show up with the absolutely best week in, week out, because everybody is now taking classes. Everybody knows my secrets, Brad's secrets, Travis's secrets, Darren's secrets. Everybody's out there taking classes. and teaching classes. And so you have to be that much more dialed in week in and week out. And so, man, the stress of having to pour week in, week out, man, it was definitely a burden, but we had success. So the relief of winning barbecue contests was absolutely awesome. And yeah, man, it was, I think, my career's not over by any means. I'm not stopping to cook. I'm not cook as much as I used to. And I think there's probably another team of the year run in me somewhere. I don't think it's next year. It's probably not the year after that, but the accomplishment of being in the Hall of Fame with some of the best barbecue cooks of all time. You think of Tuffy and Brad and Johnny and all these guys. You know what I mean?
It's an elite group.
And it's just
it's an elite group. And here's the cool thing.
Best of the best. Yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't you. Somebody inducted you in it. It was a bunch of people that came together that voted, said this guy is deserving to be in there. So it's cool. When somebody else can toot your own horn and you just sit back, then you know you're there. Well, Joe, man, I tell you what, it has been. Oh.
Wait, speaking of tooting your own horn, Joe, weren't you going to announce something that you have going on from your shop? Are you going to mail out any inventory, any products? Are you doing the mail out?
Yeah, so we've been actively working on for like the last 6 months. Is we're setting up our website to be able to ship fully cooked Slaps barbecue meat directly to your door. So we are in the absolute final stages of that process, and hopefully by February hopefully at the latest, but how stuff goes, it could be mid-February, March, but you'll be able to go to slapsbarbecue.com and get our brisket, get our pork, get our turkey, sausage, ribs, burn-ins. You can even get sauces and rubs and all kinds of stuff. And so it's been a long work, and honestly, it's how we're spending our time not opening a second restaurant. Thank goodness.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Keep it in mind.
And so but it's what we've been pushed on for the last 6-8 months here, and we're excited for it to come out. And I've done a lot of research and a lot of effort and not just tasting our food and making sure it's as close to what we do in the restaurant as we possibly can, but I've been tasting everybody's food, and there's some really good stuff out there. There's some really good stuff. I love all different types of good food is good food. It doesn't matter where it comes from. And I didn't get this way by not enjoying multiple different cuisines from different places, from different styles. And so, what we really tried to do is recreate the Slaps experience, which I think is why people keep coming back to Slaps, not just for the food, but for the experience that we offer. But we're really trying to recreate that Slaps experience with that first bite that people get, in some sort of mail order form. And I think we've done a pretty good job. Like,
that is awesome.
It's not competition barbecue. It's not restaurant barbecue. It's somewhere right in between.
Right.
But it's really, really good. Yeah, really
That's
good.
Awesome. Slapsbarbecue.com. Is that the website?
Yeah. SlapsBBQKC.com. Yeah, it should stay in tune to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of it. We'll announce it there. If I'm in your algorithm already, I'm doing something right.
There you go.
I get forced to do videos every couple of days to get out
great.
There. So yeah, we actually got a really good video coming from the American Royal where we did the full entire boxing from chicken, ribs, pork, and brisket. And
cool.
It's pretty good. It's about a half an hour long, but I'm not going to put it out there before I do my 2 classes so people don't get mad at it.
There you go.
but it'll be out there pretty soon.
That's awesome. Well, Joe, man, thanks so much for being on, and we're going to not make sure that we don't go 6 years before we get you on the next podcast. So anyway, you
got my digits. Anytime I'm available and you need a spot, I'll jump on.
I love that. And we'll hold you to it too, because sometimes we have people the last minute drop out, can't make it. So I'll put you on the list. So anyway,
I'm always good for a one hitter. I'll come in, I'll zing them, and then I'll head right back out.
There you go. It's been a good one, man. It's
Up and dump, man.
That's it. Bam.
Oh, didn't go.
What did he say? 2 to 7 seconds. I'm gone. So
anyway, 2 to 7 minutes.
2 to 7 minutes, and I'm gone. That's it.
I've been performing above average my entire life.
There you go. Oh, cha-ching.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, brother, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for being here. I hope everybody has enjoyed our show. And it's been a great one. We do appreciate all the comments tonight. Thank you so much. Lord willing, we'll be back with y'all next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. And as we always say, y'all go out there, have a lot of fun, and smoke on.
Hit the clap.